I spoke with Mandee Guzzo. Mandee is a 200-hour certified yoga instructor in the Capital District area who uses a therapeutic approach to her yoga classes. In the interview, Mandee discusses her experience with mental health difficulties, how yoga has helped her, what kind of improvements and changes she has seen in clients she has worked with, the benefits of yoga, as well as advice for those looking to start yoga. I really think Mandee and I's discussion about yoga and the benefits of yoga will help those that are interested in finding something new that can help them with their mental health. Hope you learned something.
Hi, my name is Mandee Guzzo. I'm 30 years old and I grew up in the Capital Region area. I have a pretty big family. I come from a family of 7 kids. And then, we spent a lot of time moving around when I was little. I've had issues with mental health ever since I was little, and it wasn't really treated as a child, so I think the moving around kind of affected me. Into my teen years, in my 20s, it kind of stabilized a little bit, and I went off to college, which didn't really work out for me, and now I know why, because I found my passion, which is yoga and yoga therapy. So right now I'm a 200-hour practicing yoga instructor, and I'd like to work towards my IAYT in the future. I've been practicing yoga since my early 20s, but I just started teaching over the course of the last 2 years, and I love it. It has opened up my world in so many ways, and it's really given me a really strong foundation to begin to heal through what I have to heal through, and that's why I'm so passionate about yoga and my practice and sharing it with others.
Awesome, thank you. So to start off, would you be comfortable telling us a little bit about your experience with mental health?
Yeah, sure. So I have a pretty personal experience with mental health. So growing up, I was surrounded by family members that also struggle with mental health issues, and I myself have had a pretty personal struggle with mental health. I have diagnosed general anxiety. I have bipolar depression. So that can be hard to deal with, right? And it's hard to talk about it openly as well, which is something that, of course, we're working towards making it a little bit easier for all of us to communicate our experiences. I said in my intro that growing up I kind of struggled with a little bit of mental illness. It wasn't really treated when I was a child, and I think that led to a little bit of frustration and even more misunderstanding on my part, because when you're not treated, it starts to almost feel like there's something wrong with you, right? Like you might be a bad kid, or you don't really fit in, you have behaviors that you can't really understand or process. So it definitely made my school years a little complicated. It complicated my college years a little bit. But it took a pretty big life event for me to realize that I wanted treatment and I wanted change. And I feel like at least the people that I've talked to, that seems to be it, right? There has to be some catalyst that pushes us towards wanting to receive that treatment. And I was very fortunate. I had a very supportive husband who helped me find and gather these resources so I could get myself into a good treatment program, find the right mix of therapy, and for me, medication. That's not the case with everybody, I know. And it took a long time to find that right treatment, but I'm really glad that I stuck with it and I found it, because that in itself can be really frustrating. And there were definitely times where I wanted to just, okay, I'm done. Like, this is enough for me. I'm just going to go back, because sometimes it's more difficult than how you were living with the mental illness. It really took a lot to see me through that, but thank God I had that support system that was there, like, no, it's okay, you're having a bad day, this is not who you are, this is just a symptom of what you're experiencing. So that was a really, probably 5 years ago, really, really big growth experience for me, which in that 5-year period I found yoga, and that has helped me exponentially in my healing process, because it's really brought me into my body and allowed me to understand what's happening in my body is a product of my mind, and that there are things that I can do to create the knowing of what's happening within me before sometimes my mind even registers it. So that's been really helpful with my mental health journey as well.
Awesome. So it kind of moves into the next question. Would you want to go into a little more detail of how finding yoga has kind of helped you with the mind-body connection or with your mental health?
The biggest thing for me is it helps me to ground. It helps me come back into the present moment, because at least when I'm experiencing anxiety, I'm definitely not in my physical body. I'm all mental. I'm very up, and yoga gives me the ability to sit, to place myself back in my body, and to start to notice myself as I am in the present moment. And that it just creates this calm barrier. It helps me sit and observe my behaviors and my actions in a really safe space, which it's beautiful to have that available to you. It's helped me build my confidence through the physical practice, and it's shown me what I am capable of when I'm just dealing with myself, right? Because when you're on your mat, it's just you and your body and your breath, and everything that you create on your mat is a product of yourself. And then it's also helped me to learn how to self-soothe through understanding my flight and fight reaction. And I can kind of step in. I can see the symptoms in my body now that I've learned to kind of understand them as I see them when they show up. I can see them in my body sometimes before I even notice the mental side effects. And if I can come in and calm that in my body, I know the anxiety might be on its way, so I can sit there, I can be present with that, I can find the root of the problem before it makes its way up and out. So that's been really, really helpful for me as well. And I know that it's different for every person on their journey, but if I can encourage even one person to find a tool that will help them, that's really special.
Awesome. I really like the way you put it about being on the mat, and like everything you do there is like product of yourself, like it's your own doing. Because I think sometimes that's for people that are struggling with their mental health, when they're really struggling, it's hard to be like, I'm accomplishing something, I'm doing something good for myself. So I think that's a really awesome way you put it. Next, I want to kind of get to know about your yoga practice. So if you want to talk about where you practice, if you have any social media where people can reach you or the practice, and also what kinds of yoga you teach.
Quite a few different kinds of yoga. Right now I do one-on-one practices. I will do like individual classes, and I also teach out of a studio, Yoga Bliss on the Boulevard, and that's in Schenectady, New York. Right now we're all online, but our classes online are wonderful, so if people want to check them out, I really encourage them to. So through Yoga Bliss, I teach an adaptive class, I teach a chair yoga class, and I teach a couple of vinyasas. And the difference between these, my adaptive class is a very gentle practice. So we'll move between postures, but we're not flowing between them. We're adjusting very slowly. We take our time. A lot of the practice is down on the mat. We use a lot of bolsters, a lot of support. Sometimes we'll even bring the chair into that practice. My chair yoga class, all in the chair. It's also a very gentle practice. It's for people who are healing or recovering, people who have limited range of motion, and we do a little bit of balance work in that class as well. So I will have them come up out of the chair for a very short period of time. My vinyasa class it's get up and go. So we start with a little bit of breath, we go right into that movement, and then we come down for a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of breath. But for the majority of the class, we are just flowing from posture to posture. And then I also teach a hatha yoga class, which is also a gentle class where we move between postures, but we are standing on the mat. We're doing postures that are a little more physical and having the holds last a little bit longer. So that's where we really start to get in and kind of explore the things that are happening in our body and how we're reacting to them. So I really, really love teaching the hatha yoga because it just creates that platform for growth. But all of the classes definitely have a heavy mind-body focus, right? Because we want to bring that awareness from the mind into the body and vice versa, because if there's a disconnect there, we might not be processing information and reacting to that information as well as we could be.
That's awesome. So, you say how you do yoga therapy. Do you want to talk about how you sort of incorporate a therapeutic approach in your yoga?
I am not yet a yoga therapist. I am a therapeutic yoga instructor. And my goal when I'm in front of my students is to help them come to a deeper understanding of themselves. So I really want them to observe themselves without placing judgment, not only working on their body, but their mind, getting them to understand the effect that one has on the other. Like, for example, if you're feeling anxious, you're going to feel that in the tightness in your chest. You might be a little shaky or dizzy, so just understanding those signals. So I ask a lot of questions in my classes. What's happening here? What's your reaction here? As you shift into this posture, how do you notice your thoughts change? How do you notice your breath change? And just bringing these people into a deeper understanding of the reactions that come along with either mental stimulation or physical stimulation, and then using the information that they have to create a platform for them to make good and right decisions as they walk out into the world, right? Because everything that we do on our mat, in one way or another, transfers to real life. These reactions that we're having as we're practicing will show up in our real life if we pay attention closely enough. So it can kind of teach us how to, once we can regulate on the mat, maybe we can take that to our everyday life and use those tactics that we learned on the mat, those things that we learned about ourselves, to help us grow off the mat.
Cool, thank you. So, this isn't one of the questions I sent you, but if someone viewing this video, these videos are geared towards young people, maybe they're working adults all the way to maybe middle schoolers even. If someone's interested in finding yoga or starting out, do you have any advice for how to start out?
I really enjoy the class environment, and I know that it can be a little bit intimidating. But I would really suggest going and taking a few classes with an instructor. They can help you if you have questions. It's a lot that I see, especially with younger people that I've worked with. They come to finally work with someone. They're like, oh, I never knew how to do this because I've never had it explained the right way, or nobody's ever been there to help me. So really go find somebody that you feel safe with, that you feel that you can trust and you can explore your practice with, and go and take a couple of classes with them, and then from there, it will grow. So.
Thank you. Okay, so if you could think of like maybe a specific student or specific population of people that you've worked with, and what kind of improvements or changes have you seen in those people regarding their mental health?
Two come to mind right off the top of my head. So I work with a younger gentleman. He's about, I want to say he's 18 years old. He's just gone to university, and he came to me looking for a little bit of relaxation, some reduced anxiety. So we do a very restorative one-on-one. And from him, he has definitely, he's not only improved his physical flexibility and balance, but his ability to regulate. He has clarity, more clarity when making decisions, just that slowing down and saying, okay, I'm okay, so now what is happening, and moving forward from there. And the sense of calm, that self-regulation, that you can invite the calm in and keep it there, hold it there, and that you're safe within yourself. And I have another student who is 50, who came to me with a lot of mobility issues, and she has improved strength and balance. Her range of motion has improved exponentially, and she says that she gets a deep sense of calm from the sessions. So again, there's that calming of the mind-body connection.
Awesome. So we've obviously touched on it, but just as an education aspect, could you explain more of the benefits of yoga on physical health and mental health?
I mean, first off, yoga creates that mind-body connection, right? Like the anxiety you feel in your chest, it's in your mind, but they're playing off of one another. So it can help you regulate that connection. It helps calm and center students because it takes us away from our sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight or flight, right? And it puts us into our parasympathetic nervous system. It turns on that healing nervous system, the tend and befriend, and that's done through breath, through focus, through concentration, and active relaxation. But you can carry these things again into your everyday life. So that's a great tool that yoga gives us to work with. It definitely improves physical health, which helps with your mental health, your flexibility, your balance, your strength. All of those can be worked with in yoga. It creates a sense of deep awareness, right? Because we can be really unaware. I know just in everyday life, I can be really unaware of what my mind and my body are doing in unison with each other. So it just kind of yokes that all together, and you can sit at the seat and just watch everything happen from the perspective of the observer, which is a great tool that yoga offers us. And reduce stress. So yoga is actually shown to reduce the amount of cortisol we have in our system, and ACTC, which is the hormone that releases cortisol into our body. So that's a huge benefit, right? If we can find ourselves a little less stressed, why not try a little bit of yoga? And then it helps with sleep patterns too, right? So we can use yoga to regulate our sleep patterns. It's like a yoga nidra before bed, or even just that physical activity to make us a little more tired at the end of the day, right? Get our hearts pumping, keep ourselves nice, happy, and healthy, releasing those healthy brain chemicals so that we can sleep better, we can eat healthier, make better decisions. I mean, yoga really has so many benefits physically and mentally.
Definitely, yeah. Before you touched on how some people might be intimidated to go to a yoga class, from like your perspective of being an instructor, do you have like any view on that? Like, because I know even sometimes when I show up to a class, I see people that are really good and I'm like, oh gosh, like, do you have any advice, or just like telling people not to worry? Like, so I think that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's really hard, right? When you're walking, especially you're walking into that new environment, there are people there that are going to be more experienced than you. So I know that I always went right to the back of the class. And sometimes it can be hard to admit that we're new, that we don't know what we're doing, but let the teacher know that you're a new student. A lot of times in my classes, if I know I have people that I haven't seen before, I'll ask if people are new and to raise their hand. So I usually try to give like a secret symbol, like have everybody have their eyes closed. If you're new, give a thumbs up. And sometimes I'll still even get somebody that doesn't do it, but I'll find out later that they've never done yoga before. And it's because it's really hard to feel safe. But I would really encourage you to let you know, because teachers can help you, they can guide you, they can help you feel comfortable in the room, and then they'll have just that little extra eye to make sure that you're staying safe and that you're finding these postures in a way that is helpful to you. So, yeah.
Thank you. So